the Council to carry out its work expeditiously. The flashing light on the microphone will prompt speakers to bring their remarks to a close after 3 minutes. I now give the floor to the representative of India.
Madam President, India would like to congratulate Slovenia for assuming the Council's presidency and thank them for convening today's open debate. I also thank His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, the former UN Secretary General, for his insightful briefing as also the external briefer for her remarks. The theme of today's open debate, leadership for peace, and the guiding questions are particularly pertinent in the current context. The establishment of the United Nations was rooted in the desire of member states to achieve sustainable peace. Consequently, maintenance of international peace and security became its central pillar, and the United Nations Security Council was primarily entrusted with this onerous task. Inability of the Council to purposefully intervene in today's raging conflicts in different regions has deeply disappointed our citizens, who question UN's legitimacy, efficacy, credibility, and relevance. The next Secretary General would therefore assume charge at a critical juncture for this organization. In this backdrop, India would like to make the following points. First, the primary responsibility for maintenance of international peace and security rests with the Council and its membership, especially the permanent members who have been continuously represented over the past 8 decades in the Council. When their approaches were focused on global public goods, the chances of peace prevailing have brightened. When their approaches focused on narrower national interest, chances of peace have dimmed. The quality and focus of the leadership displayed by members of the Council thus represents the most important aspect, impinging on maintenance of international peace and security. Second, structural and systemic elements in the 8-decade-old architecture of the Council act as retardants in efforts to maintain international peace and security. The current Security Council configuration is largely frozen in time. As Secretary General Guterres noted, and I quote, "We can't create a future fit for our grandchildren with systems built for our grandparents." Reforming the Security Council to make it fit for purpose to tackle contemporary challenges is an urgent global imperative. The intergovernmental negotiations framework launched for Council reform, which has largely remained barren and bereft of productive outcomes, must move towards time-bound, text-based negotiations at the earliest to enhance representation from underrepresented and unrepresented geographies in tune with today's realities in both the permanent and elected categories of membership. Third, leadership for peace should be the guiding mantra for the ongoing UN 80 reforms initiative to enhance efficiency, effectiveness, and relevance of the UN and multilateral system. This is not a one-shot process, but a continuing effort that would pass on to the new Secretary General, who would be called upon not only to address present challenges, but also to reinvigorate multilateralism. Fourth, the new Secretary General must embody the aspirations of the overwhelming majority of humanity, who are from developing countries of the global South. These aspirations largely cover the development spectrum and pertain to ensuring the basic minimum of living standards, and cover areas such as financing for development, climate equity and justice, achieving SDGs, overseas development assistance, etc. Fifth, leadership by definition must be inclusive for it to be representative, legitimate, and effective. Appointments of senior UN leadership must follow a transparent and objective process rather than a division of spoils approach. No post should become the exclusive and continuing preserve of some member states. Sixth, India takes note of the recent efforts by the large majority of member states to bring in greater transparency and predictability in the election process of UN Secretary General, as also evidenced in the negotiations on UN General Assembly Resolution 79/327. Madam President, before I conclude, I refer to the statement made by the